Okay, so for decades, Apple's whole identity really has been about total control, right? Building it all themselves. Chips, software, the whole stack.
Complete vertical integration, yeah. It's their hallmark.
So when the news dropped that Apple is reaching out to Google, their biggest rival, for a massive AI boost for Siri, well, that got our attention. We knew we had to dive deep on this one.
It's definitely more than just a simple partnership. It feels like a big strategic shift. Acknowledging a need,
Right.
and the source confirms it, they're integrating Google's Gemini model. And the price tag. Wow, about $1 billion a year.
$1 billion.
But good yet.
That number alone tells you just how serious this is. Something fundamental is changing over in Cupertino.
Yeah, a company like Apple, with all their resources,
Yeah.
making a move this, well, dramatic. It screams they knew they were seriously behind the curve. Exactly. So our mission today, using the great source material you sent over, is to unpack this. Look at the strategy, the tech, and critically, the privacy side of things. How did Apple get here? And what are they giving up and protecting to move forward?
Okay, let's start there with that core conflict. We're calling this the AI race Apple couldn't win alone. The sources are pretty clear. Apple looked around and realized they were lagging badly. Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, they were all moving way faster in this, generative AI space.
It was a real wake-up call, I think. The sheer scale and speed needed for a truly top-tier large language model, it just outpaced what Apple had in-house at that moment.
So they had to look outside.
Right. The sources mentioned they did a thorough evaluation, kicked the tires on OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, before landing on Gemini. And deciding to use external tech on this scale, that's probably the loudest signal possible about how urgent they felt this was. They needed competitive AI in Siri now.
Even while they keep building their own long-term solution in the background?
Precisely. It's a two-track approach.
So urgency means writing checks, big ones. Which brings us right to the tech investment. That $1 billion a year figure jumps out.
It's the headline number, for sure.
But it's not just buying time, right? It's buying raw capability, processing power.
It's buying scale.
Yeah.
And AI today, scale is, well, almost everything. The technical jump Siri is about to make is all about the parameters. Gemini's model, huge, 1.2 trillion parameters.
Wow. Okay. 1.2 trillion. What was Siri running on before? Just for comparison.
The sources peg Apple's internal model at around 150 billion parameters.
So wait, do the math. That's like an 8x increase. Instantly.
Exactly. An 8x jump in model size. And parameters, you can think of them like the connections, the complexity, the knowledge capacity of the AI's brain.
Right.
Going from 150 billion to 1.2 trillion isn't just making Siri a bit better. It fundamentally changes its ability to reason, synthesize information, give nuanced answers, things that were just impossible before.
So maybe $1 billion for an 800% intelligence boost? Maybe that's actually a strategic bargain, compared to trying to build that 8x scale internally in, what, 2 years?
That's the calculus, I think. They're essentially buying the results of years and billions of dollars of Google's R&D and getting it deployed almost immediately.
Okay, they bought the power. So what does Gemini actually do inside Siri? What are the new superpowers users will notice? The architecture details point to 2 key functions.
Yeah, the first one is called the summarizer function. You know how Siri now often just gives you a link or a really basic fact?
Sends you off to read something yourself?
Right. This new function lets Siri actually understand complex information from multiple sources, pull it together, and give you a single coherent summary. It's moving from just fetching to actually analyzing.
Okay, that's useful. And the second one, the planner function. That sounds like the really big leap for, making things work across the whole Apple ecosystem.
I think so, too. That's the key for handling multi-step requests and complex workflows. Forget just set a timer. Think more like...
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, how about, Siri, find me a flight to London for next Tuesday. Check if that arrival conflicts with my Wednesday morning meetings, then draft an email to my team saying I'll be late, and remind me to pack my travel adapter when I get to the airport.
Oh, okay. Yeah, current Siri would absolutely choke on that. It might do the first step, then stop.
Exactly. This planner function is designed for that complexity, that context awareness that, frankly, modern life demands.
And this whole effort has a name inside Apple.
It does. Project Glenwood, led by Mike Rockwell. The vision, according to the sources, is a complete transformation, moving Siri from just basic commands to a true world knowledge answers engine. Smarter, more natural, context-aware across all your devices.
And this is the huge but. none of this works if people think their data is going straight to Google. That's Apple's kryptonite.
Absolutely. It's the immediate question everyone asks.
So how did they solve that? The sources mention a key safeguard right in the architecture.
This is probably the most crucial part of the deal. It's structured so Gemini runs only on Apple's own private cloud compute servers.
So Apple built a walled garden, and Google's AI has to live inside it.
That's a great way to put it. Apple controls the entire environment where the data gets processed, which means, and this is the critical bit, no raw user data is ever shared with Google.
That's a massive win for Apple. They get the brain, but Google doesn't get the data stream, which is usually their whole business model.
It's a masterful piece of negotiation,
Yeah.
really, essential for maintaining user trust.
Okay, so we know why they needed help and what they bought, but why Gemini specifically. They looked at others, like Anthropic's Claude, which the sources say was technically very capable.
Yeah, Claude was definitely a contender,
Okay.
but it came down to, well, the bottom line, cost.
Money talks.
It does. The sources indicate licensing Claude was looking like it would cost over $1.5 billion a year, whereas Gemini came in closer to that $1 billion mark we mentioned, that $500 million difference. Apparently, that was decisive. It wasn't just about performance. It was value for money.
And there's a strategic angle too, right? Apple already works with Google on search.
Exactly. They have that long-standing multi-billion-dollar search deal. Choosing Gemini leverages that existing relationship.
So they get Google's AI power, piggybacking on that search knowledge base, but without plastering Google's name everywhere or using Google services that would mess with the Apple feel.
Right. They get the engine, pop it under the Apple hood, keep the Apple branding. It simplifies things, technically and probably politically, within Apple, too.
Okay, let's talk user experience. When do we actually get to use this supercharged Siri? What's the timeline?
The target launch, according to the sources, is spring 2026.
Spring 2026. Okay.
It's expected to debut with iOS 26.4 and probably alongside some new smart home devices, too.
And what should users expect to feel different?
First off, much better conversational intelligence. Siri should feel faster, more fluid, more natural. It'll understand context better. Remember what you just said? Fewer of those frustrating, sorry, could you repeat that, moments. Hopefully.
We can hope. And the search aspect.
Yeah, powerful web search. Finally, deep integration with that huge 1.2 trillion parameter knowledge base means much better info retrieval, better synthesis. Siri won't just find facts. It should be able to explain them, connect them.
And the idea is this all just works seamlessly. Google's AI is hidden away.
Completely behind the scenes. That's the goal. The user just experiences a smarter, faster, more reliable Siri within the familiar Apple interface and, crucially, with Apple's privacy promises intact.
Let's hammer that privacy point one more time, because if they get this wrong, the whole thing falls apart. Zero data sharing is the promise.
It's everything. And the architecture has those two specific layers of defense. First, remember, Apple servers only.
Right. Gemini lives in Apple's private cloud.
Google never directly touches the processing of your queries in that context.
Okay, layer one. What's layer two?
On-device processing. For your really personal stuff, messages, photos, calendar appointments that gets handled by Apple's own smaller AI models right there on your iPhone or Mac.
So only more general, maybe anonymized requests go to the big Gemini model in Apple's cloud.
That seems to be the structure. It creates this separation. The end result, zero data sharing with Google. It's complex, technically, but absolutely necessary for them to keep that user trust.
Now, the sources are also really clear this whole Google partnership isn't forever. It's temporary, which leads to maybe the most interesting part, Apple's exit strategy, their long-term plan.
Yeah, they're calling this deal a strategic bridge. It's explicitly not the final destination.
So what's the roadmap? The sources lay out like a four-step plan.
Pretty much. Step one is now, 2024, 2025. Partner with Gemini, get competitive fast. Step two, 2026, 2027. Keep pouring money into their own internal AI talent and infrastructure development. Massive investment continues.
Okay, makes sense. But step three is the big one, 2028 onwards.
That's the target for deploying Apple's own fully in-house AI model. And the spec, around 1 trillion parameters.
So basically designed to match or replace Gemini's capability.
Exactly. That's the explicit goal.
Yeah.
Replace the external dependency, which leads to step four, complete independence. Powering Siri and the whole Apple intelligence ecosystem entirely on their own silicon and software.
It's quite a strategy. Use a competitor's tech to catch up today while building the capacity to ditch them and own it all tomorrow.
It's ambitious, risky even. But it lets them deliver leading-edge AI experiences right now, instead of waiting potentially years.
But I have to ask, $1 billion a year just for a bridge, even for Apple, that's real money. Couldn't they have just pumped that billion directly into speeding up their own 2028 model development?
That's the fundamental tension, isn't it? Speed versus control. Waiting until 2028 might have meant losing relevance in the AI assistant race for the next crucial 4 years.
So they pay the relevancy tax.
You could call it that. They pay $1 billion a year to stay in the game now. The risk, though, is building systems and training engineers on Google's architecture.
Only to rip it all out and replace it in 2028.
Exactly. That transition won't be trivial. It's a complex bet.
Looking at the bigger picture, what does this deal signal for the industry? The sources talk about pragmatic innovation.
Yeah, it shows that even fierce rivals can collaborate when needed. Sometimes partnering, even temporarily, is faster than trying to do everything alone, especially when the technology is moving this quickly.
And it potentially sets a new standard.
I think so. By combining Google's powerful model with Apple's strong privacy framework, they're creating a kind of privacy-first standard for high-end AI.
Puts pressure on competitors.
It raises the bar. You can't just offer the smartest AI. You also need to show how you're protecting user data at that scale. Performance and privacy become table stakes.
And ultimately, if this works, Siri getting this much smarter could really change what people expect from voice assistants everywhere. Transformed expectations.
It could redefine the category, absolutely. Which brings us back to that core idea from the sources.
Which is?
The future of AI isn't just about who builds the best model. It's about who delivers the best experience while respecting user privacy. It's the whole package.
Totally agree. Okay, so let's leave the listener with this thought. Circling back to that $1 billion strategic bridge and the 2028 plan for independence. Assuming Apple does pull it off, they launch their own killer 1 trillion parameter model, they achieve total self-sufficiency. Was the speed they gained by spending billions now worth the cost and worth that temporary, let's be honest, reputational hit of relying on Google?
It's the multi-billion-dollar question. Did buying those 4 years of relevance justify the means? The ultimate test will be if the 2026 Siri is so good.
That users just don't care whose engine is under the hood.
Exactly. If the experience is seamless and trustworthy, maybe the how becomes irrelevant to them.